So we believe that everybody has a right to live in a comfortable, healthy, and efficient home. Your home should not be killing you. It shouldn't be making you sick. It shouldn't be super expensive to live in because your heating and cooling is inefficient and you're losing a lot of the money you pay to heat and cool your house. So that's why we do what we do. We educate homeowners on how their home works, where the problems are, and what we can do to fix them. Now, one thing we pride ourselves on is that we don't just focus on one product because there's not one solution to all the problems in your house. In fact, one solution could create another problem, and we don't want that. You're going to see how that works. So this video is going to be about how your home works. You're going to have a really good understanding of how it works, why it's so inefficient, why it's dusty, why you might be getting sick, why you might have allergies, why your bills are so high. Now, I started in the home performance industry in 2010, and I had my contractor's license in 2015, got my contractor's license in Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and California. Been in a lot of homes, and most of the problems that we see are in the attic. So that's what we're going to focus on mostly in this video. Now, heat moves in three ways: conduction, convection, and radiation. If you have a frying pan and you have your hand below it, the heat's going to move down. It's going to move from the frying pan to your hand through radiation. Now, if you touch it, it's going to conduct heat. And if you blow on it, it's going to force air down through convection. So heat doesn't necessarily just rise. You know, we get that a lot. Well, heat rises. Heat's just going to rise up and out of my living space and up into the attic. And that's why my attic's so hot. But it doesn't necessarily rise. It moves from warmer to colder. It always chases the cold. So if the cold is down here and it's hot up here, it's going to sink down into your living space. To start with, every home has some kind of venting system on the roof. Most every home. Some roofs are unvented, but for the most part, attics have ventilation to allow the air to escape. Now you have vents on your roof, soffit vents, roofs up on top. You got gable vents, you got ridge vents, some kind of venting system. Not all at once, that's not good, but some kind of venting system. Now this works positive and negative pressure. Air comes in through these vents down below and leaves through the vents on top. So this convection, this airflow, creates natural air movement in your attic. No fans, nothing powered. If you've ever seen one of those whirly birds, those metal squeaky spinny things on the roof, those aren't working because of the wind outside. You know, those are working because of this convection, this natural airflow. They spin because of that. The problem with that is that now you got this movement of air moving up and it creates a vacuum down below. Now what that vacuum does is it pulls conditioned air from your living space up into the attic. If you look on your ceiling, you have all kinds of penetrations. You got recessed lights, light fixtures, attic fans, smoke detectors, all kinds of things. Not to mention the wire penetrations that go down from the top plate down into your electrical boxes and your light switches. They cut a hole, they put the light in, but it's not airtight. All that leaks air into the attic. So you got your thermostat set at 68, trying to run cold air in your house, but that air is being sucked up through this convection air movement. The Department of Energy says that 20% of energy loss happens through this air leakage. Along with air moving up, air is also moving down because now it creates a path for the heat to move down, chasing the cold, and you've got heat moving down, you've got AC moving up, and you got this circulation. Now, if you take a straw and you put your thumb on the top and you put it in water, water's not going to get into that straw. House works kind of the same way, where in order for air to go up, it has to come in from somewhere. And that's coming in from leaky windows, leaky doors, exterior penetrations for plumbing and electrical boxes. The foundation of the house is leaky around baseboards. So you're running your AC, it's dropping the temperature of your house. Why doesn't it just stay there? Why doesn't your AC drop the temperature and maintain that temperature? Your walls are insulated, you've got triple pane windows, you've got insulation in your attic, you bought a new HVAC system. First thing people think when they have these heating and cooling issues is that, well, call my HVAC company. But it's usually not your HVAC, it's usually your insulation. Remember, heat moves from warmer to colder. So it's cold right here, it's hot. You have a hot box up here of 130 degrees. It wants to move down to the cold. So one solution is an attic fan. We see them a lot, we've done them a lot, I've been doing them for a long time. But what happens with those is if you put a powered attic fan up here to push the hot air out of the attic, all you're going to do is, if your attic is still leaky, it's going to exaggerate this airflow and make it even worse. So now, instead of 20%, you're losing 30, 40% because that attic fan is sucking conditioned air up into your attic, and it's not helping you anything. Another thing we see is a whole house fan. Whole house fans are great. Anytime it's cooler outside than inside, you open up some windows, you bring in the cool air, you drop the temperature of your house down using the outside air, not your AC. You get rid of all this trapped heat that's built up in your attic, built up in your house, and you force it outside. And it cools your house down. The problem with that too is if your attic floor is not sealed and you put a super powerful attic fan in your attic, pressurizing your attic, not 100% of the air is going to be escaping through your gable vents, through your roof vents. The only place it has to go is through these penetrations on your ceiling. So it's forcing this attic air down into your house. The biggest complaint that we get with the whole house fans is that, well, it makes my home more dusty. And they think it's coming from the outside. It's not so dusty outside that the fan is pulling dust in. It's not pulling it up from the ground. It gets dusty because your attic is full of dust, especially if you have cellulose insulation. It's super dusty. It forces all that dust into your house. That dust, that dirty, dusty cellulose insulation is sitting right on top of these junction boxes, these electrical cutouts in your ceiling, right on top of these light fixtures, right on top of every one of those penetrations. Try this. If you have a whole house fan, turn it on and go to a couple of light switches or outlets and put your hand next to it, and you'll feel air coming in through those vents. That's because where you have a light switch, the wire goes up to the top plate. They drill a hole in the top plate. It's typically not sealed, especially if your house was built over 30 years ago. But even if it is sealed, the top plate is not sealed. And that top plate is allowing air to come down into your house, through your receptacles, through your light switches. And this is true for a home that was built 100 years ago and a home that was built yesterday. They still do not seal the top plates. They still don't seal the penetrations on the ceiling. Now, dust is one thing, forcing some of that attic air down into the house. Okay, well, most homes are contaminated. Most attics are contaminated. Pest control companies will stick a trap up there, kill the rat, and it just decomposes, creating bad air quality in your attic, which is bad air quality in your house because the attic air is the air that you're breathing in your house, whether it's through just natural convection that's happening without a fan or being exaggerated by a whole house fan. So we believe that you should not put a whole house fan in your house if your attic is contaminated, if you don't air seal. If you do, that's malpractice. Your bills will be lower, but you're gonna die. So don't recommend it. By the way, we install whole house fans. We install attic fans. We do window film to block the heat out. So we do various things to your house, but we understand how your house works as a system, and we don't want to do one thing to solve one problem but create another, especially if that other problem is going to make you sick. So our solution, and what we do mostly of, what most of our work consists of, we do about 2 a week on average, is attic restorations. We suck out all the insulation, completely clean it out, exposing all these top plates, all these wire penetrations, all these air leakage points that are on your ceiling. We close it up with closed-cell foam. We put can light covers over your can lights. Even if they're IC rated and insulation can come in contact with them, we don't just blow insulation on top of them. We cover them with a cover, seal around the bottom of it, and that makes your light fixtures airtight. So we completely eliminate the air infiltration and exfiltration from your house to the attic and from the attic to the house. Now, the result of that is you're knocking down your heating and cooling by 20% just by air sealing. Just by air sealing alone. We did a job in the middle of summer. We removed all the insulation. We air sealed. We came back because they had work being done up in the attic. And we came back 2 weeks later. And I asked the customer, how unbearable was it in your house? I thought it'd be hot. She said, it's really funny. After you did the job, it was cooler in my house and maintained a better temperature than when there was insulation out there. And it really, locked it in, the importance of air sealing. Because that's all we did. All we did was air seal. We didn't put a fan up there. We didn't put any insulation up there. But just air sealing alone helped her maintain a lot of that AC. We do get questions a lot. Well, my house, your house shouldn't be airtight. Your house should breathe. And that's true. You should have ventilation in your house. You don't want to build up chemicals and VOCs and moisture and poor indoor air quality. You don't want that trapped in your house. What you don't want is uncontrolled air movement. You want to be able to control that. Pulling air in from the outside through your walls and in your house isn't really doing you any good. Having your AC leaking through your attic isn't really helping you much. So HVAC systems have the VVAC is ventilation. That helps. Whole house fans do help. You turn the whole house fan on early morning, later evening, you expel all that bad air quality in your house, and that's going to help too. So those are some things you can do to increase the ventilation once you make it more airtight. And, this isn't just theory. We've done hundreds of attic restorations. We have 300 reviews on Google. We got video testimonials. I mean, we follow up with our customers. We want to hear their story. We want to hear how what we did made a difference. We want to compare their bills before and after. And we hear over and over and over again, my son couldn't sleep in his room because he had bad allergies and it was so hot. And after we did the job, he can sleep in the room. I mean, it's a life-changing experience, and that's really what drives us. It's not an easy job. It's not easy crawling through insulation, all day long in 130-degree heat, having to wear a mask, having to wear a suit. But we all have the mindset of what we're doing makes a difference. And that's what drives us. That's what keeps, pushing us even when it's super hard. We have a lot of respect for our installers. They're tough. And that's not meant for everybody. But we do it because we know the difference that it makes. So if your home is dusty, it's uncomfortable, if your AC is running nonstop, give us a call. We'd be happy to help.